If you don't have time or don't want to take each or any of these steps yourself, you can always outsource some or all of them to a freelancer. There are many different freelance clearinghouse websites you can sign up for that have large pools of people who are skilled at doing precisely these kinds of jobs. Some of the most popular include elance.com, odesk.com, and guru.com. At each of these sites, you will find freelance writers, web designers, artists, programmers, web page builders, and other people skilled at online tasks. You can hire them either by the hour or per job, depending on what your needs are and the size of your budget. Signing up for any of these sites is free, and you usually are allowed to use their service for a limited number of times per month without paying anything. If you use the services a lot, however, most require you to pay something. The services usually collect their fees by taking a small percentage of the money that is paid to the freelancer. The way it works is that you sign up and then post a job that you need completed. Typically, the job posting will give a brief description of what the job is all about, its size or scope, what sort of timetable you are considering, and a range of what you're willing to pay for the job. You can be as general or specific as you want with your job posting. You may create an ad for a single project, or you can seek to hire freelancers for long-term work on multiple content projects. You can choose to pay by the hour or offer a fixed price per project. Generally, you want to offer a range of what you are expecting to pay for the work so that you can attract the best candidates. If you are less specific, you may get a lot of responses from people who are either too costly or, on the opposite end of the spectrum, aren't qualified for your project. Once your job posting is put on one of these sites, freelancers can then bid on your job, telling you how much they would be willing to do the job for. Each freelancer has a profile that you can look at that describes their prior experience and sometimes even includes links to sample projects. The freelancers also receive ratings from people who have hired them in the past. Also, there usually is information about how many projects they've worked on through the freelance service and how much they've earned. You aren't required to hire the lowest bid if you don't want to. You can hire anyone you want. Generally, you want to hire the person with the most experience who falls within your budget for the particular job you need done. If you have a small job you need done, another site to consider is Fiverr.com. This is similar to the other freelance sites, but every job is only $5. Be aware, however, that when you pay such a small amount for a job, you often get what you pay for. If you can find somebody who does a good job for you for that little money, you probably want to keep hiring them over and over again. At any of these sites, you can hire freelancers to do nearly any job you need for generating traffic to your web pages, including writing articles, creating content for your squeeze page, building websites, making videos, writing blogs and press releases, and even creating info products from scratch. One of the biggest benefits of the marketplace sites, with the exception of Fiverr, which is in a class of its own, is that they will handle all the administrative tasks of hiring a freelancer, such as payroll, tracking hours, withholding taxes, and so on. Most even have software that allows you to monitor your freelancers' work, if you're paying them by the hour, to make certain you are getting what you're paying for. Screenshots are periodically taken so that you can be certain that they are making tangible progress. Once you agree to hire a freelancer, most freelance marketplace sites require you to pay the agreed-upon fee up front. It will then be held in an escrow account until the job has been completed and you are satisfied with the work. If there is a dispute, there usually is an arbitration process maintained by the hiring site, so you never have to worry about the freelancer taking your money without delivering the final product you at the quality level you expect. You also can hire people to work as your virtual assistant. These freelancers work out of their own home and do whatever tasks you assign to them, including managing your social media marketing, programming your autoresponder, dealing with customers, or whatever your needs are. Typically, virtual assistants are paid by the hour. Some of the freelancer sites, such as elance.com, use screenshots so that you can monitor what your freelance assistant is doing at any given moment. The freelance sites earn their money by keeping a small portion of what you pay the freelancer you hire. What you get for the money, besides the ability to select from a pool of skilled freelancers, is that the sites will take care of handling payment, scheduling, and in some cases will even train the freelancers via online video courses and testing. They also will handle service agreements, stipulate and enforce deadlines, and facilitate communications between clients and content creators. Plus, all the legalities of who owns the final product and who is responsible for its content is outlined in the site's service agreement, so you never have to worry about the legalities. Freelance websites also handle disputes and use an arbitration process if there is ever a dispute between the hiring person and the freelancer. Some sites, such as guru.com, require you to put the amount you agreed to pay into an escrow account that is paid out only after the job is completed to your satisfaction. If you want to avoid the service charges paid to the freelancer sites, another option is to hire writers via a classified advertising site such as Craigslist.com. You can advertise a job posting on Craigslist for very little money and in some cases for free. Many freelancers will look in the gigs posting of the Help Wanted section of Craigslist. It is separated into different categories, including writing and computer. You can post an ad in your city, or because you're looking for a freelancer who will be working remotely on your traffic generation project, it can be any city in the world. You also can post the same ad in Craigslist, but in multiple cities. This can increase the amount or response that you get. Even though you should require people to forward you their resume before you hire them, in some cases, people will be less than honest when describing their past work history. So it is a good idea to also require them to complete some sort of test that is related to the job you are outsourcing. For example, if you're hiring a freelance writer to create a series of articles for you to post online in order to create backlinks to your web pages, ask them to submit a 500-word writing sample on a topic that you choose. If you're considering many different applicants, require them each to take the same test. That way, you'll be able to compare apples to apples. Also, you may be able to get free content that you can post to drive traffic. Once you find a freelancer you like and you are happy with the quality of work they have provided, you can continue to hire them to create new projects for you for as long as you like. In some cases, freelancers have regular clients who provide them with full-time employment. Don't forget, however, that if you pay somebody to do a job, even though they are a private contractor, you are required to report that payment to the IRS. This is especially true if you hire a freelancer to do multiple jobs for you, totaling in the thousands of dollars. Another option when outsourcing outside the marketplace sites is simply to get recommendations from other info product marketers, or you can simply run a Google search and see what you come up with. Remember, if you hire somebody on your own, you will be responsible for all the administrative responsibilities that the freelance websites take care of for you. Especially if you have not worked with somebody in the past, you're going to want to have everything in writing ahead of time, including who owns the rights to the final product. While there are some boilerplate contracts available online, in my experience, working with the freelance marketplace hiring sites is much simpler. When you outsource a job to a freelancer, you may have a specific detailed outline of what you want. There is no confusion. Or you may just have a vague idea of what you want and are willing to leave it up to the content creator to fill in the details. Either way, it's a good idea to commission an outline that requires your approval before the freelancer can move forward with creating the project. If you're commissioning an info product, this outline can take the form of a table of contents that shows the general outline of how the product will flow. The table of contents the freelancer submits to you for approval before beginning the project should include chapter headings and subheadings within each chapter to show what content should be covered. It also should give approximate lengths of each chapter and the entire product as a whole. If you require the content creator to provide you with a TOC first, it can eliminate or at least limit the situation where they have a completely different concept of the project than you had in your mind. It also allows you to form your product according to your specifications so that they include everything you want covered and don't go off on unnecessary tangents. Once the TOC is submitted to you, typically you would approve it or ask for changes within 24 to 48 hours. Only after you are 100% satisfied with the TOC should the content creator begin putting together your product. Depending on the length and complexity of the project, it can take anywhere from a week to a month to deliver the first draft of the info product. Usually, the terms of the freelance hiring marketplace's service agreement form allow you to ask for reasonable revisions until you are completely satisfied with the final product. If you hire a content creator on your own, however, you may not be able to get revisions as part of the purchase price. With a hiring site like Elance or Guru, you pay the money for the project up front, and the site holds it in an escrow account until the project is completely finished. Only when you give your final approval are the funds released to the contractor. While most sites have a grievance procedure in the event of a dispute, usually one that is resolved by an independent arbitrator, if you've been clear on what your expectations are for your project and communicate freely and frequently with the content creator during the product development process, this is not usually required. Typically, once the project is completed, the content creator has signed away all rights to ownership or authorship to you, so they can't come back later and try to sue you for part of the profits. Again, if you hire somebody on your own, you may not have that protection.